All right, cowboy, we're ready to rodeo.
Will Newark, New Jersey become the first city in the United States that tries out universal basic income? A topic, by the way, Jason, which can't be ignored. It's being brought up so many times. It's in Alexandria Ocasio Cortez's brand new deal. And now we're getting new statements from the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, who said, quote, that the city is now exploring a pilot program for a universal basic income program and will launch an exploratory task force to see if it's feasible. Mayor Ross Baraka, I think that's how you say it, said during his State of the City address. Now, this is interesting because originally I thought this was a ploy by a mayor just to get reelected. He has been reelected, so this is not it. But he noted that, of course, Newark, New Jersey is the third that a third of Newark, New Jersey, the people living in there are living in poverty. And of course, he didn't release any more details of the plan or how it would be funded or when a final decision would be made. So again, he's talking about these things, talking like a politician. From my own kind of point of view, where Newark is, again, with so much poverty, also being one of America's murder capitals, Newark, New Jersey is not the best of places to coexist in, to even drive past in. So I think that this is, again, sweet words from a politician that won't be made possible, because in all places, the least likelihood that it would be possible, I think it would be in Newark, New Jersey. But again, this idea, this concept is becoming one that can't be ignored, especially with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez bringing it up, and also Andrew Yang, the Yang Club, and getting pretty much internet famous with promising Americans $1,000 a month for his Democratic presidential campaign. And there's been a lot of memers, a lot of deep web internet people who have fallen in love with Andrew Yang. But obviously, you're here, Jason. We never really got into Andrew Yang. We should, but we've definitely looked into Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
I mean, just the idea of a universal basic income is frightening to me, especially with a guy like Andrew Yang, who, he's a billionaire, guys. Let's be honest. He's not just running because he loves everybody. He's a powerful man, and he's promising you stuff.
Yeah, well, one more distinction. Andrew Yang pretty much is going out there to fight the robots, while Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says that automation and new robotics innovations will actually be great for society. Of course, being very optimistic here, and I think a little bit naive. Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
No, that's a good point to bring up, because Ocasio, whether you love her or hate her, or despise everything about her, you can't say that some of her points about corporate America are wrong. And just like that, Yang makes some good points. But when you start giving everybody in America $12,000 a year, if it's $1,000 a month, Luke, what does that do? It just ultimately devalues the dollar. And the truth of the matter is, what you're going to have is a situation where the poorer class are going to take that $10,000. They're going to probably buy themselves a car, a flat screen TV, maybe some other questionable items, not save the money. And then all of a sudden, whatever the state gives them for a year will probably be reduced because so many people are on these social programs anyway. So then who's at loss? Well, probably the children. And people will just end up poorer at the end of the year, or I guess if it's monthly. I mean, what's the deal? Are we getting this yearly, or is it going to be $1,000 a month?
Well, it depends. Different people have different plans. Alexandria Cortez has her Green New Deal. Yang has his kind of $1,000 per month kind of deal. But let's play devil's advocate here for a little bit, because people are saying that this is going to become a necessity with robotics, with automation, with technological advancements, especially with Amazon and artificial intelligence leading the pathway, pretty much creating the world's richest person in the world, allegedly, Jeff Bezos, and a big monopoly, and that there will be, as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says, something like a 90% tax on robots, which is really a tax on the richest people, and they would say that the money would come on down in. And again, I kind of highly doubt that. I'm for less government, as little government as possible, in my own personal belief. But Jason, I'm surprised you're not a fan of this, since you believe in some government.
That's rather rude of you, Luke. All I'm going to say is this. You look at what you just said with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and automation. So we're just supposed to give up as a human race? We have no value to society. We should just accept.
No. Alexandria Cortez says that this is going to create a situation where people are going to have to be able to study, do whatever they want, have hobbies, and make a wonderful life for everyone, where the government taxes and takes money away from the robots and gives it to people so they could have something to live on, because the disparities between income are so high. And again, that's a rational. They are pretty high here, but again, to me, the answer is never any government, and that's why sometimes, Jason, you're like, yeah, the answer is government. That's why I'm saying I'm surprised with all the kind of circumstantial stuff happening here that you're not seeing some aspects of this, or playing devil's advocate.
Well,
I still
I
want to
just
bring up
don't.
Finland, but go ahead.
I just don't know how you're bringing government into this when what I'm talking about is the taxation. So she says, and forget about more government. We're not able to successfully tax big corporations now. Okay, with over 11 billion in profits this year, Amazon paid $0 in taxes. So to say that we're just going to get all this tax money from these corporations is frankly asinine. All right, so that's a huge problem right there. And again, her saying that we're basically becoming obsolete and whatnot, it really harkens to the zeitgeist craze about 10 years
and that
ago.
we shouldn't have babies as well. She's a proponent of that as well, the birth strike movement as well. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but all right. I mean, we could talk about all that. Really, regulation of your lives. And you have no say. You're obsolete. You offer society nothing. Instead of doing that, listen, let's get this pie in the sky crap that they're going to be able to take this time and study what they want. College is a waste of time. Most of it is social arts. Okay,
Yeah.
it does
It's
not teach a
brainwashing,
skill.
indoctrination.
It doesn't teach a skill, Luke. So what we need to do is bring back 2 years trade schools, so by the time people are 20 and 21, they do have an education. And that doesn't mean that they're going to have to learn how to build something if automation's going to take care of that. You know what they could do, Luke? They could learn to code. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. You take an 18-year-old, you have a trade school like that, like an ITT, that's perfect. But instead, we're just supposed to say, no, we're not going to shift gears like we have so many times throughout history. Think about it. We were a farming culture not too long ago, and then the Industrial Revolution came. What do? We learned how to work in factories and make cars and make products. And then what do we learn how to do? We learned how to create businesses where other places could do that. And then we upscaled. So why are we not upscaling as human beings? Why are we talking about laying down and letting corporations, government, and the machines take over? That's what we should really be talking about, Luke.
Yeah, that's a good point you made there. I'm a big fan of trade schools, but the best coders are pretty much self-taught. I think Finland was an example of a test of universal basic income, where they gave people $640 a month with no strings attached. And a very interesting thing happened. Some people say it failed. The New York Times came out and said, no, universal basic income never failed. The Finnish government failed, which, again, that author has his head up his buttocks or something. The two are correlated together, because you're giving up all your trust for government. Government's predominantly throughout history always going to fail you. But it's a very interesting article, because they give us some of the details. This was a test study with 2,000 randomly selected unemployed Finnish people. They received, again, $675 per month for about 2 years. It was a very limited scale. And the major criticism is, of course, that from the New York Times, is that this wasn't a proper experiment, since it didn't go on for longer and it wasn't as intrusive as it was. But there were some basic things that did come out from this, and rightfully criticized for, because it created more bureaucracy and only exercised stricter control over the jobless. It says here nearly half of the people affected by it have lost benefits as a result. They said this outcome is a shame, because the Finnish government has been giving money away for decades with great success. I don't know about great success, but the Finnish government has a lot of social programs. They give a £250 stipend for students. They have a lot of kind of social services. So it's interesting to see that they failed, and the New York Times blame the government. But again, it's the government kind of creating these situations and circumstances, empowering mega technocratic giants and robotic agencies like Amazon, giving them tax incentives, giving them, of course, all the support that they could get. And again, government here is not going to help with this problem. That's the big takeaway for me, and the bigger fear that, again, more bureaucracy, more government, and what Zero Hedge kind of collects together with this article and their headline saying social media, universal basic income, and cashless society, how China's social credit system is coming to America. And I believe they brought up some very important points here, especially how the building blocks of kind of technological control of everyone is already in place. And with universal basic income, those building blocks would build a solid foundation for a government that doesn't care about you or need you and will ultimately have too much control of your life, like we're seeing right now orchestrated in China and have been warning you about specifically in China. If you think what's happening in China can't come to the United States, you're absolutely naive. And what's happening in China is absolute crazy from the previous videos that we made. That's my take on it. Anything else you want to say, Jason?
Yeah, I kind of want to go back to that point right there where you were talking about how they lost their benefits, right? Because old Jason Burmis and his crazy need for some government wants to talk about that. Because again, when some people talk about it, this isn't upfront money. Now, people that can't manage their money anyway getting this, you're going to just disparage them and their entire family. If, on the other hand, Luke, you're going to take away, some of their, for instance, if they are on Medicaid, and all of a sudden their Medicaid benefits, maybe they're not all the way gone, but they're halfway gone because they're getting this cash. All of a sudden you already have someone who's unhealthy being even less healthy because they can't take care of themselves because you gave them this money up front. It's a very bizarre and perplexing system. And I really don't know how in any way, shape, or form, since we already give money to those who are on disability, that have children and claim that they can't work, that do work jobs and just don't meet the poverty line. We give all these things out right now. We're in debt. And now we're just going to give away more. And we're going to make the corporations pay a whole bunch more taxes that they don't already pay. It just sounds like La La Land and Imagination Verse.
It sounds like Idiocracy, too. There should be a movie, a documentary, Mark, since more and more people are seeing the movie Idiocracy and saying, yeah, this is pretty much a reflection of what's happening right now. And again, anytime the government is coming in, anytime a politician is coming in and saying, I have the solution, I'm going to make your life so much better, I'm going to take care of everything for you, I'm going to give you all this, it's all a scam. It's all a big Ponzi scheme. It's all ultimately going to kick you in the butt at the end of the day. And it's always best to be skeptical of government. That is my bias as an independent journalist. This is where I personally come from, and this is where this kind of independent news organization comes from. And if you agree with that and resonate with that, don't forget to subscribe, click the notification button. And that's it from us on this video. Stay tuned for a lot more here on wearechange.org.